answer that thing is answer. Okay. Okay, Ji. First of all, my apology because I wasn't aware of the forum because I thought it's a conference and I was expecting the enthusiastic students sitting here. So my presentation is not a very technical one where I'm going to report the results of a particular experiment or a study that we would have conducted in our group. I prepared it. It would be more kind of a motivational talk for the youth who are interested in waste business or are looking for opportunities. So I've just kind of prepared it in that way. So to start with, I hope you all are familiar with what entrepreneurship means, and the basic difference between entrepreneurship and business, as I understand, is that business could be any running business, anything. But when you say entrepreneurship, then it means that you have kind of brought some innovation into something which is already existing, and that innovation obviously is going to add value to the business. So, okay, and as it says, entrepreneur is a person who's doing it, and entrepreneurship is a process, and we have this enterprise which could be a company that has been developed out of it. So we more commonly use the term eco-entrepreneurship, and eco-entrepreneurship is kind of any business, any innovation in business where you bring something that is good for environment. For example, already a process in some industry or anything happening in which you bring some modification in the process, or you develop some product that would help in kind of degrading the pollutants in your mind, and that could be a solution for a particular problem. So I give you a very simple, a few of the pictures that I have taken from the Google to show you how the mind works. So you see here, we had lots of masks, especially during the COVID time. So somebody came up with this idea of, you see the phone and the cable for charging, the distance from the floor may be quite high, and there may not be any table available to put it. So that was just a solution that came in somebody's mind and there. So this is a very simple kind of solution which could be modified. I mean, I'm not saying that this is something which you need to do. I'm just telling you that these are the ideas that you can materialize. If you have knowledge about certain thing, then you can sort of bring innovation into it, and you can, there are many aspects of entrepreneurship. So you have to, you really need to know how to market your product. You really need to know the investors that would be willing to give you money, or what are other forums from where you can get the finances to start up. Okay, so this is another example. You can see here the waste plastic bottles. So these have been used. You might have seen, I mean, this is very common these days. People use these plastic bottles for different purposes. So here you can see a shoe rack. And the central picture is quite interesting, where they might have a problem of a mixer, not availability of a mixer for a hot and cold water. So you see a simple, very simple solution where they put a plastic bottle and they just put a hole there so that cold and hot water gets mixed and they can have a. And then similarly, the third slide which is showing, in third picture which is showing a shower made out of a plastic bottle, which is generally a waste. Similarly, you can see here the pencil cases that have been developed from the shampoo bottles, and they look like Matrusha dolls that are Japanese dolls that are generally sold in the, so they have been nicely decorated and put as a pencil container. So there are many other things that could be developed and marketed. Similarly, here you may be aware of the problem of the water scarcity and we had the depleting water resources of Pakistan, which are leading our agricultural scientists to develop either develop the crops that are less water intensive, or use the technology that would make less use of water for irrigation. So in this picture I've shown you the sprinkler irrigation, but the other picture we have the drip irrigation system here. So I hope you all are familiar with drip irrigation, where you just have a hole in a pipe with the plant. So when the water passes through the pipe, only it drop by drop it comes only with the plant, so that it just reaches to the root of the plant and soil, and the crop is not flooded with water. So you can save lots of water in that way. But this drip irrigation system is generally expensive. It's quite expensive. So there are like apprehensions in adopting this system. So somebody came up with this idea. So you can see here again making use of the waste. So plastic bottles, and then the other one is you see the drips that are being used in hospitals, and where they have a nozzle from which you can kind of control the drops that are coming out. So in the other picture you can see with each plant they have put it and made use of the waste into something which is useful. So okay, now I come up with some of the real examples of the people who took these initiatives of reducing the waste, and they later on become successful entrepreneurs. So here you can see this person Sean. He was the first one. Now this idea has been adopted by many people around the world, and even in Pakistan I was looking at one of the startup that they had initiated it. So what he did was, with another person, he came up with this idea of using the soaps that are there in the hospitality industry, especially in the 5-star hotels, where they put these soaps for their customers. So these soaps are sometimes used, these soaps are sometimes not used, and when used they are not completely used, so that they are just sent to the waste, where they end up in the landfills. So what he did was he started collecting those soaps, and he developed his own setup for making new soaps out of that. So much kind of saving of the raw material and energy. So and he also got this support from UNICEF, and where they had this agenda of hygiene. So they started supplying it to different parts of the world, where they were experiencing these issues of water and sanitation, and they wanted to make sure that each person would have a soap for personal hygiene at least. Okay, similarly this is another example from Abuja in Africa, or Nigeria. So there also they had this, because I've given here an example of Africa as well, because we recently have had the Climate Action Summit in Africa, and most of the problems that we look at, especially with reference to waste management, are quite similar, that we have in our country are quite similar to the ones that are present in Africa. So here also they are running a very successful business with the name Green Recyclers, where they collect the household waste and segregate it and sell the plastic and paper. Okay, this picture is showing another artist from Africa who makes use of the materials for making some pieces of art, and he collects all these materials from the waste that is being produced from the municipal waste especially. Okay, we have another example here of a Biogas UK, where they made use of the sewage waste. So that sewage waste, which would produce the methane gas, that was used for the running of this bus as a source of fuel. Okay, another example is from EcoWare India. That is also a successful project, where nowadays we have this legislation of ban on single-use plastic, where you can expect if it is implemented in a true sense, we may come up with situation in restaurants where they would not have these plastic spoons and plastic plates or the styrofoam containers to give you the food. So this could be one of the replacement for that. And similarly, I had seen a startup in Pakistan also where they were making use of the, I don't know how successful were they, because I met with them I think 3-4 years ago. So, but I didn't hear anything further about them. But that was a group of girls who had developed these spoons and these bowls from the cereals. So once you finish your food, you can eat that spoon or you can eat that bowl as well. Okay, now we talk about technology. So I've heard about these. You see these. That is AI is basically artificial based system. So we are heading towards artificial intelligence in many of the things. So there was a startup from Australia where which you can see in the pictures. So they came up with this idea of using artificial intelligence for the segregation of waste. So what they do is, you can see here the bin in which you would put the waste, and through artificial intelligence, it would automatically separate it into different categories within the bin. So you do not need any manual sorting in it. Similarly, there is another example of e-bin. That is also a complete system which is attached to the computers as well, where they keep monitoring, and then they have a system in there where different, as I've mentioned before, the manual sorting is not needed, and by the use of the computers and softwares and the technology within this bin, they segregate the plastic, paper and metal, etc. Okay. Okay, here is another example of Alico. That is, I think, a Karachi-based company, and they also provide this service of transporting this transportation and sorting and like landfilling of the, especially the hazardous waste. So they charge different organizations for disposing their waste. Similarly, there is another example. In this also they work with the segregation of the waste, and then the waste buster. It is quite common, it's famous. So they started from Lahore, and they started mainly with this segregation of the waste and collecting it and then segregating it and selling it in the market and generating the revenue. Then there is another example of eGuard, which is basically work under the umbrella of Akhtar Hamid Khan Memorial Trust, where they had developed IRRC in different cities of Pakistan. IRRC is basically integrated resource recovery centers. So they had developed this. It's one of their site is in this Multi Gardens in Islamabad, where they have developed their setup, where they segregate the waste and they produce compost and they sell it in the market as well from the organic waste that they collect from the residential society. They charge money for collection of the waste, then they segregate it and they sell it, and they earn the revenue out of it. Trash Pay is also another example. I think they started in 2017. This is a group of, I think, 3. They started with 2 or 3 boys who were university graduates. Last year I was in contact with them. I have not personally visited their site, but I know that they keep, sometimes we are in contact with each other through WhatsApp, because when they started, they used to come to me and take some advice on different matters, and I believe they are running it successfully now, because they had, I think, year before last year, they had won this grant from one of the international organization for their business. Similarly, there is another with the name Waste Hunters. So I was in 2019, I was in a hackathon. I was a mentor in a hackathon that was organized by Water and Sanitation Services of Peshawar, and they had they had kind of invited the students from different universities who could come up with some ideas, with not only the students but the graduates also. So I remember this Waste Hunter was a group of graduated students who had this intention of developing this software to monitor the quantity of waste that is present in the bin, because when you put the bins, different bins, then collection is also not easy. It also costs money. So it is better if the bin is full, then you collect it, rather than you visit every week to check if the bin. So they had this, and they were working in one of the community, and where they were collecting all this plastic, paper and glass, and selling it in the market and earning the revenue. Another example is of Concept Loop. It's Karachi, and they were founded in 2021, and they basically upcycle the hard to separate plastics, and for the preparation of different recyclable plastic items. So in that way, that plastic, rather than going to the landfill, because there's no other use of that plastic, multi-layer plastic, that you see the Tetra Packs and the other, from which it is difficult to separate different components. Similarly, there's another one with the name Mint Rewards. So they also they have another system of this reward system, where they have a software, and they coordinate with people living in a community, and people provide them with the plastic, paper and other items, and they give them they have a collaboration with different brands, to which they give them the reward points, and the people, they can make use of those rewards as discounts on different brands or for their shopping, and in this way they are continuing it. Similarly, there is another one with the name Trash Bin, and this they also make use of technology. I think with the mobile phone, they also are connected with the community, and they also have a system where they get to know, okay, which bin is now complete, or from where they have to collect it now, and what sort of material is available, and they are also running a successful business. Similarly, we have another example from Karachi with the name Fab Bag. This Fab Bag is basically where they are mainly dealing with the textile waste. So what they do is they offer their the people who are interested to work with them. They give them they send them a biodegradable bag through Pakistan Post. And what the people do is, like their used clothes, or their other clothes that they do not want to donate, or they do not want to kind of discard or put into the waste. They put that, and according to the kilograms that they fill in that bag, they are being paid for it. And that amount is usually less, as you can see here, 50 rupees for that a kilogram. And what they do is, when they receive those bags, they give it to the textile industries as a raw material, and then they get money from there. Similarly, Khazane.com is quite common. Khazane.com is where they sell the branded shoes, and mainly the shoes, and there are shirts also available. They're all branded, which are quite expensive, and they collect it from different people. They kind of refurbish it, or they kind of clean it, or they थोड़ा सा उसको रिपेयर करते हैं, उसको थोड़ा सा और अच्छा लुक देके, and they sell it at almost the half price, or at the price that is affordable to the people who want to buy it. So nowadays there are several online sites also available as pre-loved clothes, where people sell their clothes which are in good condition. We have a culture here in Pakistan, especially in the weddings, and the girls and the women, they do not like to repeat the clothes, the same dress, or in different. So in that case, this pre-loved clothes is a good forum where they can sort of sell their clothes, that dress which they would have bought it. Let's say if they have bought for 5,000, they can sell it for 2,500 or 3,000, and it's completely new dress. So in that way also lots of wastage could be avoided. Marketplace is another such forum, and then Islamabad Buy and Sell, where you can find some furniture as well and some other stuff. Okay, ELO which is export leftover, is also quite common. So they also make use of the material, that especially the textile, that they could not, they were unable to export, so they make new products out of it and they sell it at a very cheap rate. Okay, so I was in the UK for my PhD, and there I had seen this practice, especially in summers, where they used to have at this car boot sale in the parks. So what people would do is they would bring all that stuff which seems new. Sometimes आपको घर में किसी ने कोई gift दिया होता है, कोई भी ऐसा होता है जो you may not find any utility of that, or you may not like it, but it's something very new, so you can bring it over there. और ये काबूट सेल में हर घर से उस पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी में जितने लोग रह रहे हैं, they would bring and they would be given stalls by the management of that park, and they would either exchange with others or either they would sell that. So this is something which could be done. Okay, then for youth, yes, there are several opportunities where they can opt for it. You can see here an example of the Asia Foundation. They also announced this Green Entrepreneurship program, where they open the call for this for those who have some idea and they want to start it. So they provide them the grant to materialize that idea. Similarly, there are many climathon, hackathons that are being held, where people are, the groups of the graduates, mostly I've seen the fresh graduates or the students who take part in these, so they are given some grant to continue with their idea to start with. These are some other forums where you can apply for. They also open their calls in different times of the years, and if you look at the Switch Asia website, you will find lots of Pakistani startups there, and in others you can see also these are the ones which are specifically focused with the waste management. And I've been part of some forum where some of the forums where they were evaluating the applications of the candidates for like the innovative ideas, and what I found was most of the ideas that were from the waste, making use of waste, or from the waste management. And so you have this opportunity, the youth especially. We have national incubation centers in different parts of Pakistan, in different cities, where they train those who really want to continue with their idea. They train them about the marketing strategies, about how to carry out a good pitch for earning a particular grant to start up their initiative. Similarly, I've given here example of Allama Iqbal Open University, where I work, but in other universities of Pakistan also we do have BICs, which is business incubation centers, where the students can go and they are given the mentorship and training about how can they sort of bring their idea into some business. And there are lots of opportunities in the waste sector for innovation and bringing your ideas to win the grant and to continue with it. Okay, so there are certain other opportunities that I've presented here from Higher Education Commission, from Pakistan Science Foundation. So you can always apply for that and you can win the grant. Okay, thank you very much and good luck. If there are any questions.
And I have a question that, as we all know that most of the waste are produced due to disposable materials. So I think this problem will overcome. But some of the waste are present in our environment which are hide from our eyes, such as heavy metals, and they are very carcinogenic. So how we will overcome this problem?
Again, that if you look around, there are many publications on it as well, where a particular heavy metal, there have been, people have worked on removing a particular heavy metal from a particular industrial effluent or from a particular material. As the previous presenter had also shown that they had worked on they had developed some nanoparticles for remediation of a particular thing. So yes, heavy metals could also be removed. It depends on which particular, because heavy metals, it's a reality. We have it almost in every material that we use these days. So yes, again, it's an opportunity for you to explore it, to look through different publications where people have worked on a particular heavy metal or group of heavy metals, and what strategies they have used to remediate it or to remove it from that particular material. It involves a research-based study. You need to carry out certain experiments for that.
Thank you. I think we have, if you have any question from online participant.
Okay, thank you very much. Last note, there are lots of opportunities, but everything you need to do, you need lots of passion for that, and you need a hard work, especially in the initial years. I've painted very rosy pictures here, but when you start working on it, you would realize that everything is not as easy as it seems to be. But again, it needs lots of hard work and your dedication, especially in the initial years, or you can do it. Otherwise तो वो क्या है, और जब start करें या करें तो you should not be very over enthusiastic about it, क्योंकि वो क्या कहते हैं, बाबूजी धीरे चलना, आगे बड़े धोखे हैं इसमें या उसमें इस राह में, तो वो you should be prepared for that as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So moving on, our next speaker is Dr. Farhana Noshin from Government College University, Faisalabad. The topic of her presentation